first got into the industry, I just wanted to have a lot of sex. I'd say if you ever want to give it a try, get 10 of your friends and a chick you don't know that well and give it a shot. Biggest fantasy, I actually did. That was always the two guys thing, but I know, no remorse. It's kind of awesome. Industry in 2001 after being arrested for having a whole lot of weed at the Mexican border. I spent the next 7 years shooting adult films and also doing documentaries for HBO. And then I got into the mainstream side of things more past the HBO. I did a Zack and Miri makeup porno. I don't know if any of you like Kevin Smith, but I do. Yeah, Kevin. And it kind of literally just occurred to me. I was like, wait a second, somebody's getting paid for that. Like, this is that person's job. I could totally do that, but only because I looked like the girl next door, so I played that part. I was the babysitter about 200 times. And then I enhanced my chest, and suddenly they wanted me to play the fine lady and read some lines, so I did. The question is about how the free port on the internet has affected the actual industry overall as a whole, and me personally. What happened is it really started with the handycam and started breaking it down well before it even got to the free part of things, because it used to be just film. It used to be all high-end stuff, and everybody was making insane amounts of money, and it was very, very limited what was getting put out to the world. And then there came video, and that was the first big influx of everybody's free-for-all porn. And that changed things immensely to where you could buy a DVD at the store for 20 bucks instead of 40, 60, or 80. And it just exploded into a giant industry, billions and billions of dollars a year. And then everything started getting pirated on the internet, and then people started making porn with their flip cams and their iPhones at home. And now it really has changed not just how much people are making, but how much people want. People don't buy porn like they used to. The actual numbers of pieces are barely moving anymore in stores, and most of the money that the industry is making is on cable and on specific websites at this point that they have encrypted so people can't steal stuff. The question is, are they treated differently, male and female? There's definitely some differences just in the basics of, like, women make more money than men, but their careers are usually considerably shorter. The guys make a little bit less, but they can work, 10, 15. There's some guys that have been in 20 years.
What do you have to say to people who assert that women in the porn industry are all oppressed, or like that the porn industry in general is bad for women? Like, do you agree with any of that, or what do you have to say about it?
No, well, I mean, of course it comes up all the time because it's sort of a assumed thing that women in porn are put upon or forced to be there, or have some sort of issue with this way or that way. And of course, I'm sure there are people that do have problems, but there are people who have problems in any industry. In general, it's become really competitive. Like, we're talking like beauty queens and prom queens coming out of high school going, I'm going to be a porn star. And they are, and it's really hard to compete with that when people are really free with their sexuality and they're just comfortable with it. I don't know, I have a hard time, I don't judge anybody, but I have a hard time accepting judgment on everybody else because they're happy. Like, if you knew the people I knew, if I could only get them out there to everybody so they could see, they're just not what people think they are. They're just really horny chicks that are hot. I get email all the time from guys that say, I'm going to be a big porn star. I have a giant dick. Good for you. But unfortunately, it does take a lot more than that. It's definitely a mental attitude. It is a special guy that can have sex with a complete stranger in front of 30 fat dudes with cameras and lights. First, porn is completely legal in California. It was ruled legal in the 80s. If you have two separate parties that are paid by a third party for performing on film, it's an art form in California. Yay, California. It is the only place in the country at the moment where it is completely legal. Prostitution, interestingly enough, is legal in parts which is where I live now in Las Vegas. But in small enough communities, there is still counties where they have brothels that are legal and that are regulated. And I guess my biggest thing with it is, if it's legal and regulated, it's safe. If you're doing things that are illegal and unregulated, that's when you start getting into like scary pimps and drug dealers and all that kind of stuff. And I really don't think people should put themselves in danger in any way. Yes, lots and lots. I sort of used porn as like sex college and like learned how to get mine wherever. Not all real, of course, when the cameraman says, okay, and come. That's fake. But other than that, there's definitely, good days and bad days. Good days are 5 or 6 in a scene, so go me. I never did anal on set. I kept it, I felt a couple of different ways about it. One, it was a danger level that I just wasn't willing to go to. 2, I don't like the way my face looks when I'm doing that, and I didn't want it recorded. And 3, it was kind of nice to keep something personal and at home, and that's what I do with it. I'm not opposed to anal sex, I just want control of it. And that was my big line draw, and that really upset a lot of people because they're all about the A. I've only been married for a little over a year, although we've been together about 2 years. Before that, I was in a 7-year relationship that was porn monogamous, which means that I would have sex with him and all the other people I worked with. So it was kind of open, although not completely open, because I wouldn't just pick up guys randomly. So basically, in any relationship, whatever ground rules you set, it's about the trust. If you stay within those rules, whatever they may be, then you're fine. So I've never had a problem, but only because I like to hang out with really open-minded guys.
I should have had the concerns about measuring up, and I think I would have if I had met her and approached her in a different way. I would have had those issues, but I don't. And we have fun, and she seems, satisfied, I guess. And when I met her in Pittsburgh, it was sort of like, oh, Katie Morgan's coming, she's coming too. We were on Zach and Mary, so she was coming up to the office, and we had about 20 minutes before, so I was like online going, who is this chick? I was like, damn, all right, well, this will be cool. And I mean, literally 2 days later, we're smoking a joint and playing Rock Band in my apartment. So I was just kind of going with it.
I was homeschooled, and my dad's a pastor. That always gets allowed. Yeah, and then I went to community college when I was 16 and graduated early from high school, and moved out about a month and a half after my 18th birthday when we got married. So I was just ready to get out of there really fast. They're very religious, but I wasn't very early on, and I kind of had to play along sort of to keep them happy. But starting from around 14, 15, I was already more than just questioning, fully not believing and thinking that my parents were kind of crazy and okay. And I never really came back to that. They always thought I would come back to the fold, so to speak, and I never did. I just kept going more and more the other direction. So what are you gonna do? But they were great. It was kind of leave it to Beaver. We were a super happy family. I feel bad. Okay, the way my parents found out, I didn't tell them, because I had the whole thing of, why tell them something that's just going to hurt them? There is no good to come out of it. They were never going to improve, and they were never going to be okay with it. So I figured I'd just let things be okay as long as possible. And then my dad's ex-girlfriend found out and called him, which was kind of, really effed. So she's a bitch. That's why he didn't marry her.
But she was just Katie to them, and as she was to me when we first met. So she's charming and funny and cute and nice, and that's what they see me happy with her and her happy with me, so that was enough for them. And nobody's ever really gone out of their way to say anything to me from my family about it. Everybody came to the wedding. Her family came to the wedding, which was pleasantly surprising.
Very surprising.
So it was nice. It's been good.
Yeah. tests. They test monthly, and then some people are now requiring 14-day tests. And we test HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, and then every 6 months we have syphilis month. Woo! Happy syphilis month. Everybody tests, everybody checks everybody's tests, the directors check everybody's tests, and you don't work unless you have a fresh, clean test. And that really is the extent of practicing safe sex. Past that, that's really it. And a lot of people don't screw around too much outside of the industry because you get used to, okay, we're going to have sex, I see your test, you go to a bar, people aren't flashing their tests, although in LA, you'd be surprised how many people have their test in their wallet. But yeah, it's the concept of having sex with somebody without a test at this point would kind of freak me out a little bit. A number of years ago, I used to run an adult agency with a friend of mine, and we had about 15 girls, and one of them actually stayed at my house. And when it happened, when we got the call before anybody else did, because I had been in the industry a while, and it leaks out really quick if a positive test comes back. So we got the call at like 10 o'clock at night, do you know this guy? And I'm typing him into the computer because I didn't know him. My friend walks in right behind me, she's like, oh my God, I worked with that guy last week. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And she wasn't, and I had booked her for an anal scene. And while she was on set, they convinced her to do a double anal cream pie. I say convinced. They offered her more money. She was into things like that. And she
what's a double anal cream pie?
Sorry, I get a little ahead of myself in my terminology. That would be 2 penises in the butthole and internal cum shots from both guys. So it's actually very dangerous. Not really a good plan. I would not recommend that at all. And she found out like 2 weeks later she turned positive for HIV because he had been down in Brazil working with some people without tests and without condoms, and he brought it back. And he tested the day he got back, and it was too soon to catch it. And 3 weeks later, when he retested, then they had to go back through, and there was about 200 people on the first and second generation quarantine list. Only 3 girls turned positive, and 2 of them worked for my company. So it was kind of a big, very personal, very scary. But part of me goes back to you put yourself in these positions and you take these risks. Like you're doing a double anal cream pie. That's not what you were booked for. You were booked for a single guy anal scene, which, while still dangerous, is not nearly the same percentages for catching things as when you're, stretching things ways they don't go. Okay, yeah, on women, I would always say I'm like 85% straight, because pretty much I'm interested in dudes, although if I have a couple drinks, I will probably make out with my friend, girlfriend. But in the industry, it's really about show and performing. And yeah, I would do lots of chick scenes, and it's pretty easy because I know how to work that stuff, because I've got that stuff. And I can certainly appreciate a hot woman, but I could never imagine having a relationship with a woman, which is where I go to, that I'm mostly straight. Even though I can be attracted physically to girls, I couldn't imagine myself dating a lady. So.
What are you doing now that you're out of the porn industry?
Now that I'm out of the porn industry, I am mostly enjoying being famous, which is kind of a career in and of itself. It's a little weird. People just want you to show up, and they'll pay you to just exist now. So I do that a lot. I'll go host parties, and I still do my HBO stuff, and I'm under contract to them until 2012. So until that contract comes up, I don't know what the next step is. For now, I'm just famous.